Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel and my name is Adana Obu. How are you doing? So guys, on today's video we have something important that we want to discuss that is concerning young believers. And this is something that I myself have experienced not once, not twice. And I know that some young believers have either experienced it before or are experiencing it right now. And as a result of that experience, it might have brought some effect in our lives or in the specific things that God has called us to do. The notion of being too young to do exploits for Christ. And that's what we want to discuss today. So let's hit it running. I know that when God told me to start writing on my social media and when He told me to start my podcast, there were some side talks from people like, she has started writing on social media. When did God tell her to start talking about faith-based content? Is she a pastor? Is she qualified to talk about faith-based content on her podcast? When a young believer starts something that people begin to see, one of the, I think, hurtful things that happen is that believers, fellow believers, will start talking on that particular thing that the person started. Talks like she wants to be seen, or why is she doing this? It would be such a different case if it was non-believers that would say this. But sometimes you find out that amongst our friends, amongst our fellow believers, amongst our elders, we keep on hearing things like, this person is too young to start doing this. It's just youthful exuberance. He wants to be seen or he wants to be heard. And this takes me to asking myself, is it that when you are young, God cannot genuinely use you for something? God cannot genuinely use you to fulfill a purpose. God cannot call you to start doing something. And this takes me to the challenging notion of age factor. So people start looking at your age, she's just 15, she's just 16, she's just 17, or she's too very young to start up something. So is there a particular age where one gets to, and then you begin to say that, okay, she has reached the age to be used by God. She has reached the age to start doing exploits for God. She has reached the age of whenever she wants to start something under God, that we can just leave and say, okay, she's up to age. And I think that this should take us to the scriptures, because if God considered age as a factor, then when human beings consider it a factor, I won't be actually angry. I won't be bringing up this topic. But I've seen a lot of times in the scripture when God has used young persons to achieve one thing or the other, regardless of their age. And I think that what comes into play is their level of maturity, not specifically their age. So I remembered Gideon in the scriptures that was hiding, and God, the angel of God, had come to Gideon and say, I'm going to use you to deliver these people. Gideon's mindset was that I am the least, my clan is the least in the tribe of Israel, and then I am the least in my family. So there is this mindset that because I am the least, I can't be used. Because I'm very young, I can't be used. And this is the mindset that a lot of persons are working with. Because you are young, because you are too young, I don't think it's for you. Because you are this young, I don't think it's for you. But when the angel of God approached Gideon, he said, you mighty man of valor. God, when he looks at you, he doesn't necessarily see your age. He necessarily sees the capacity of what he's able to achieve through you. So David, being a young person and has been in the bush taking care of his father's sheep, was sent to the war ground to go and give food to his brothers. So he had heard the Philistine Goliath say a lot of things about the armies of God and all of that. So he went around asking what would be done to somebody that would defeat him. And Eliab, his brother, saw him. Do you know what Eliab said to him? I know your pride and the insolence of your heart. I know that you have come to see the battle. And this is what some people think, that once you start doing something for what God has called you to do, they feel like you are too proud. They fail to recognize that God can call a young person into exploits. I said this before, if you were experiencing it outside of the body, it would have become easier for you to manage. But when you're experiencing it inside the body, what it does to you is that it makes your heart cold towards the thing that God has called you to do. So you see a lot of person drawing in because of what people have said, of what people think, of what people see you as. when you start performing or when you start staying in your place of purpose or in your place of calling. And truth is that people talk about it when you start doing things, that people start recognizing you. Because definitely when you are inside your house and you are doing nothing, nobody talks about you, nobody says you are doing this, nobody says you are doing too much. But once you step out to be seen, people see it as pride, people see it as being too much. And this is where I think I should also comment. When you start doing things for God, they say that you are doing too much. When you are not doing anything, they don't have anything to say. But once you step out to start doing the very thing that God has called you to do, what you start hearing is that He's been too much. He's been too much. Over and over in the scriptures, we've seen a lot of persons that God used. And then we're more significant about these people that God used is how young they were. I just want to tell you that you are not doing too much. God has told Jeremiah that He's going to send him to nations. When God is planning to use us, He's planning to use us more. I want you to begin to change your mindset of what God is and who God is. When God decides to use a man, He doesn't decide to use a man small. He told Jeremiah, I'm going to send you to nations. Filter what every other person has said and focus on what God has called you to do. And I want to say this, that you should, God has called you to do something. You should be able to build a system around you that is able to call you to that when you go overboard. Because the truth is that we are young people. Sometimes we can actually make mistakes. But when we have systems around us that calls us to order, then we can be able to trace or retrace our steps when we go overboard. Thank you for staying through this video, and I just hope that this video actually speaks to you. And then if you've not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Hit on the red button to subscribe and the notification bell to notify you whenever I release a new video. Till Sunday when we release our new podcast episode. I love you guys. Have a nice day. Bye.